In this lecture, we will define the absolute value and we will look at a few examples. First of all, let's go ahead and define the absolute value of a number. I'll just read it. The absolute value of a number A is written as A in a pair of bars here, and it is defined as the distance on a number line from 0 to A. Now that might be a little confusing without an example, so let's go ahead and do an example. How about the absolute value of -6? Notice in this case my A is the number -6. If we want to figure out what the absolute value of -6 is, we have to figure out what is the distance from -6 to 0 on a number line. So let's go ahead and draw a crude little number line. I will indicate the point 0 here in the middle. -6 is somewhere out here. Okay? Well, how many units away from 0 are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the point -6 is actually 6 units away from 0. Therefore, we say that the absolute value of a -6 is 6. So you might want to be thinking in terms of, well, if I have an absolute value of a number, I simply take the positive value. And that's okay, but you always want to remember that absolute value actually refers to the distance away from 0. Another example, the absolute value of -5 is, of course, 5, since -5 is 5 units away from 0. Let's go ahead and look at the algebraic definition of the absolute value. Notice I have the absolute value of A, and it is equal to two different things depending on what our A is. The absolute value of A is simply A if A is a positive number or 0. The absolute value of A is -A if the number A is negative. And let's do a couple examples. The absolute value of a 5. Well, in this case, our A is equal to 5. According to our algebraic definition, if A is a positive number or 0, then the absolute value of that number is just the number. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. Another example, the absolute value of a -3. Well, let's go ahead and look at the algebraic definition. Our A in this case is whatever inside the absolute value. Our A is a -3. So the absolute value of a -3, according to our definition, is a -3. And two negatives make a positive. So again, whenever we see the absolute value, we are really just going to take the positive value of the number. Let's do one more example. Maybe we have a string of numbers. Perhaps, let's take the absolute value of a -7. Maybe we'll add that to the absolute value of 3. And we'll subtract the absolute of a -2. Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out all three of these absolute values. The absolute value of -7 would be a +7. The absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of -2 is 2. And then we'll just do our addition and subtraction straight across. 7 plus 3 is 10 minus 2. And 10 minus 2 is 8. So really, there's really nothing to absolute value. You just have to remember one thing, that the absolute value means the distance away from 0. And the other thing, if you want to think about it, if ever we take an absolute value of a number, we're simply going to take the positive value of that number.